man, we are back at it. What's up, Josh? How have you been?
Been good. Taking on
Good, man. It's good to
summertime.
hear.
Yep. Ready to get things started with our Truman Lake podcast episode. Do a little recap on what's been going on in MoYak first, and we're going to have our special guest, Dave McCormick.
Yeah, man. I watched quite a bit of stuff on YouTube. He seems like he's out there fishing quite a bit. He's fished a couple series, and it's always good to see a local guy putting some stuff out there. I know it's been a while since we've been on here, and it seems like we had a good little break from our tournament series, and we're gonna get right back at it with Truman, man. I'm excited about it.
Yep, it's time to get right back at it. One of our best lakes last year, Jim Harding won it with over 100 inches, which was our new, is the MoYak single day record. So, can we put up those numbers again? We're going to see. I expect more anglers are going to be on the water this year than we had last year because we've been averaging about 100 per tournament so far. So, the Plastic Navy's about to come pound Truman.
Yeah, speaking of Truman, Everhart's, they host us afterwards, and they do an absolute great job. If you have not been there, bring some spending money. They've got a great, amazing tackle shop. They've got tons of kayak stuff. You'd be surprised as how much stuff they have for a kayak angler, specifically on top of tackle and baits and all that good stuff.
Yep, anything for an outdoorsman, period. From hunting to fishing to camping, they have it all.
They do. It's a pretty sweet
I
spot.
plan on dropping some money up there this weekend. That's for sure. Because I've already got my eyes on new PFD. I got to get. Somehow both my PFDs disappeared down in Texas. I don't know how that happened. I had them during practice. I even brought me an extra one. Day of the tournament, I'm serious. I get my loaded up day one, Bass Nation National Championship, and my PFD is gone. I go run to my truck to get my backup. It's gone. I know. It's a mystery. I don't know what happened. I think someone sabotaged me, to be honest with you. To try to stop me. Thank goodness, though, that one of our roommates, Steve Lehman, he had an extra one. I had to leave a couple guys to wash my kayak and drive all the way back to our cabin to catch him before he left. And he was just about to pull out, and he had an extra PFD. I wouldn't even got to fish on day one. Still don't know where those PFDs went.
Man, talk about a stressful morning.
Yeah, the whole trip was stressful. But, some of the guys really nailed it. They set some records out there, over 200 inches in a 2-day tournament by several guys. And our own Richie McMichael, top 10 on the stage.
Yeah, shout out to Richie. If you guys have not talked to him or met him, this weekend, tell him congrats. I'm sure he'd appreciate that. He's also, just like all our MoYak guys, super nice guy. Always willing to talk fishing with guys. Give him a little shout out, give him some love. It's really cool to see last year with Lance Burris and then this year with Richie, two guys from our club each year in the top 10. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah, that's the top 10 anglers in the nation, in my opinion. It wasn't easy to qualify for this tournament and to do that well against the best there is. Yeah, man. Congratulations, Richie. Well done, brother.
Absolutely. It was good to see you guys out there fishing. Good to see MoYak represent at the Classic. It's really cool, and I think it's definitely got a lot of guys excited for next year.
Yep, absolutely. We've still got the Missouri Bass Nation that guys can sign up for until July 1st. We're still taking on memberships. It's once you buy your membership, then that's all you need. Then you can qualify to fish in the tournament. Top 5 guys or top 10%. They changed it this year. The top 10% of the field will qualify to go to next year's Bassmaster Bass Nation Kayak Championship, which is going to be in South Carolina, I believe, like Hartwell, somewhere in that area.
Well, that's exciting. Hopefully, guys get signed up for that in time and are able to compete for that because that's always a good event, along with our other ones. We've got the River Tournament coming up July 17th. I know we were just talking about that, but that one does count for AOI points. So you guys that are looking to add some points or maybe do better, maybe you feel like you can do better on the river rather than some of these lakes, that's one way to get some extra AOI points.
Yeah, and it's going to be, our river trail for MoYak, but it's also going to be in conjunction with the River Series guys. So anglers are just fishing one or the other, the river or the MoYak Trail, they can double dip in this one, and you can fish in both at the same time. It's going to be in the eastern region. There's a lot of beautiful rivers out there, a lot of scenic waterways, and a lot of land mass. So there's a lot of water to fish out there. So it's going to be cool to get everybody off the lakes, and we're going to go do our river float trip tournament, and it will count for points. Fishing a river is part of being a kayak angler.
Absolutely, absolutely. And if you have not been on a river or don't know where to go, just put a post on the Facebook, put a post on the Discord. Plenty of guys that'll reach out and maybe you guys can shuttle together. I'm sure there's some guys that may know some decent spots on the river, but they don't have a partner to shuttle with. It's definitely an opportunity to meet some new guys and go fish some new water with new people.
That's right. Perfect.
The weekend before that, the All-American is going to be up in La Crosse, July 10th. Josh, I've never been there, and I know you talk about this place. What's it like?
It's outdoorsman's paradise during the summer. I wouldn't want to be there in the winter, that's for sure. But during the summertime, man, you would think you're down in southern Georgia or something, just, winding swamp backwater areas, mossy lily pads, grass, reeds, small streams and creeks. And then you got the big water out there, the main river, and there's islands and eddies and bays. And the water level right now on the upper Mississippi is almost at a record low. A lot of the areas that I'm familiar with is dry land right now. So wow. It's going to be an adventure going up there with these conditions, but I am kind of excited about it because, for one, I think this is going to be our biggest All-American tournament of the year, and it's going to have a pretty good payout. And two, with the water drying up and the water being so low, there's going to be a lot of backwater areas that boats might not be able to get to, which is perfect for us kayak guys. So we may be able to sneak into some areas that got some fish locked into them, from the receding water. That's the kind of stuff I like to look for. So La Crosse should be a really fun tournament. There's a handful of us going up there from MoYak. We should have a pretty good representation.
Yeah, definitely exciting that you guys have done a great job with that All-American. It's really cool to see our guys competing in that and traveling. It's really cool to see a Midwest series in our area. I know there's a lot of series that are kind of all over the place, but just to see one in our area that we can get to just about every event, within a decent drive, it's pretty sweet, man.
Yeah, I'd have to double check the current standings, but I'm pretty sure that our ranking Angler of the Year, Lance Burris, is leading the race in the All-American Series for Angler of the Year as well, too.
I think
with a couple other Missouri guys right up there.
Yeah, I think that the next spot down was Chad Davison. I think he was not far from him, and I think Hillman was right in that mix as well.
Yep, and now we're going up to the northern area again, getting the northern guys' backyard. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Angler of the Year race pans out after this tournament at La Crosse.
Well, before we get into Truman, let's talk about the monthly online, and let's go over our top 5 real quick. Sitting in that 5 spot, we got Lee Donner. He's got 94 inches. His big bass is 20.5. He's got a solid stringer there. We got Garrett Reed in that 4 spot, 94.25. I talked to him the other day. He's been having some good days on the water. His biggest bass is 19.5. Josh, who do we got in our top 3?
Well, I think who's in 3rd place. 98.75, man. That's a good score for the monthly onlines.
Yeah, man, I'm excited about that.
I think that's the highest I've ever had in Missouri myself personally. So you just beat me. So there you go. But
Thanks,
2nd place, Dorman Huey. Yeah, he's going to be coming after Brennan with a vengeance. Brennan went out there and in one day jacked 105.75 inches. And so I know Dorman, and that's going to light a fire. He's going to spend, after we get back from Truman Lake, he's probably going to go fishing for the next week until he can get ahead of Brennan. So that's going to be interesting to see how that shakes out.
We went pre-fishing at Truman with, I went with Joe Walters, and Saturday was just tough. It was miserable. And I said, maybe I'll just go down to, I think, Dorman's fishing at Taney. Maybe a Saturday I'll just skip the tournament and go fish Dorman's spot and see if I can get into some bass. But he's been putting some work in. But to see Brennan go out there and do one day and just, oh my gosh, that's got to be a great day for him.
It'd be an epic day for me. I would celebrate that. That's you can't ask for anything better than to go out and jack 105 inches in just one day. That's what, a 25-pound bag of fish. For the boat guys like our guest, Mr. McCormick. He's the boat guy. We might have to ask him for some conversion help.
But absolutely, it's cool to see Dorman up there, but I'm glad Brennan put some pressure on him. And
yeah, I'm sure Brennan's not done either. Brennan can go back out there and get some more too. He has a knack for finding those monsters.
He does for sure. So Truman, we've got 43 guys signed up. Like we were saying before, I think we'll get to 100. I think it's definitely possible. It's pretty cool seeing those kind of numbers this year.
Yeah, we've been averaging 100 per tournament so far, and the guys like to wait till the very last minute to sign up, so I never know how many people is going to show up. But as far as food goes this time, working on some food trucks for this one. So nice. I might have some local barbecue guys come up there and bring us some food. I don't know prices yet on anything. I'm trying to work out some deals where we can get some like discounted cheap plates or something. Still working on that. But
if Everhart does what they usually do, there'll be a lot of surprises, a lot of stuff given away. Last year they gave away a kayak. I don't know if we'll see that this year, but you never know with those guys.
No, I know we're going to be giving away some rods and some reels and some tackle and some other gear. You never know with Gary. He may want to give away a kayak, so you might want to be there for this one. It could be even something better than he might give away one of them XI3s maybe.
Well, I mean, last year they hooked it up at the All-American. It was a new canoe with an XI3 and a battery and some accessories, and to me that was huge. That was above and beyond what they really needed to do.
Yep, they always show great support for the kayak community and the fishing community in general, not just here in Missouri, but across the entire Midwest. So, big thanks to Everhart's Outdoors for everything they do for everything in our kayak world right now is them. So thank you guys, especially Gary. Thank you, Gary.
Absolutely. Well, it's about that time. Let's see if we can get Mr. McCormick on here and talk some Truman with him.
Yep, let's start talking about this tournament.
And they're shoulder to shoulder, set the hook. One runs back to get the net. They're looking at them. I know where the pile is from just years of fishing, so I put my bait in there and we watch them, and I'm just wondering how many fish are really in there. If we go up there and get over them, we'll ruin it for 15 or 20 minutes. And but I still got third place on that old school stuff. So, but it does make a difference. It truly does.
Yeah, we're starting to see a lot of that technology starting to even become a little bit of a controversy in some tournaments as well, too.
I'm here to tell you. Guy's name's Randy Blockett, and he certainly stirs the pot.
That guy.
All the time. I mean,
I don't even want to get started about him.
What was it? It was a hot foot or something a couple days ago. Got me fired up. I just turned him off. But that is how it is.
Dave, we just wanted to welcome you. I guess we kind of skipped that part and we started chit-chatting right off the bat, man. Welcome to our podcast. We're glad that you took the time to, sit down with us and talk about Truman Lake and yourself and, about fishing in general. So thank you. You want to just open up by, introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about your credentials and stuff?
Sure. Well, I'm an old guy and have fished better than 25 years at Truman. And I am a tournament angler, and as I would imagine, I'm here because of the YouTube influence. I have a YouTube channel, and we tournament fish every weekend. We try to, and we record every weekend. And I'm not going to say we show you every tournament, but we show you darn near every one of them. I think I've got close to 90 tournament videos up. Any help any kayakers could give us in the form of subscribers. It's part of the game of the YouTube thing I just really haven't had a ton of success with. But trying to get to 10,000 subscribers, and because certain benefits start to come in with YouTube when you have 10,000 subscribers. So really, before you have 10,000, you don't get as many benefits. So that's
sure. We'll show up the link to that right down here on the screen so everybody can see that and check that out. Fish 30 and Truman Intel as well. Don't you do some reports for those guys?
I'm just one of these guys. I'm at the point now where I've had such a good tournament career that I share a lot of stuff. I'm not gonna lie. I got some friends that won't be friends with me no more because I show too much. But it is what it is, you know. I've got sponsors, and I've told people what I was going to do, and by gosh, I'm going to do it. So we have a neat YouTube thing going on.
I like it. I checked out some of your videos earlier today. It was pretty cool checking out some of the old tournament footage.
I'm going to tell you that I watch Greg Blanchard. He's
Who doesn't?
Well, I mean, I'm like addicted to him, and I'm not.
You're not the only one.
He knows what he's doing.
He does, and he's a darn good editor. And to me,
the best.
It's hard to do. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not as techie as everybody thinks I am, and I'm doing it on an 8 or 9 or 10-year-old MacBook. We're about to buy some new technology and go to a new software program for editing. Hopefully, it will take us up to the next level. But yeah, it's Fish 30 on YouTube. Anything these guys do to help me get spread or shared, or because that's really what it is. It's about pleasing the algorithms so that they promote your video on YouTube. And
a lot of the tournaments that you fish are in Missouri, aren't they? Like Table Rock and Truman Lake of the Ozarks, the same tournaments that are the same lakes that we're on usually.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah, so it would be a great tool for guys to want to get information on any lake.
No, I even get to speak and talk to some of the college and high school teams. They want to ask more questions about the videos while they're watching them in like a group setting. So, I mean, let's cut to the chase. I'm not. It's not about money or anything like that. It's about propelling our sport. It truly is, because you got to get young people into it to make it get bigger. And there was a moment there for a while that we were a little worried about it, but now it looks really good. There's a lot of college and high school and young people and fishing and in groups. So when you're in a group and you're around guys that are better than you, you know what all happens. I mean, you just see my last video, and I fish with guys that can flat out whoop me at moments in time. And I mean, I have lots of friends like that. So when you surround yourself with guys that are as good or better than you are, you're doing yourself a favor. I promise.
That's good advice.
Good, but you're learning,
especially in the fishing community as well.
So that's what we do. That's what Fish 30 is all about. So we're not gonna. I'm going to tell you about how I came in third place last weekend. Now I'm going to be fishing
Truman, right?
So I may not share the exact hole because I'm going to fish Sunday and try to. But I'll talk to you about patterns and about what we're seeing mainly on the lower end of the lake, because that's what I know. I know there's, after kind of checking you guys out, it looks like somebody won the last time way up a creek. So, but that's the kayak. A kayak can get in places now on Truman that might be silted in, where a bass boat might not be able to get in. And I mean, 15 years ago, we used to drive way up there above 13 Highway Bridge and go into creeks and just have immensely good bass fishing. But over the years, we haven't been able to do it because they're all silted in. With a fair amount of mud for a bass boat to dream about getting in is, so the water has to be up, and I don't think it's going to be up. They pulled it all the way down this week. So
what's the water level looking like for this weekend?
They're shooting for like 707, I think. So 706 is normal pool. So you're going to not have this high water bushes that we've had for the last, I mean, there's two sides to that coin. When the bush fishing was really good and the fish were spawning or up there, it really evened the playing field out. guys could beat the bank and beat the bushes and really catch big bags. But now that the bushes and the willows aren't in the water, and we have 85, 86-degree water, we have thermoclines starting to set up. So you got fish that are now at depth, where you might find fish in 12 to 18 foot of water. And I'm going to tell you, that's how we came in third in a small tournament that was on Father's Day, Bass World. It still took almost 21 pounds to win. And good personal friend of mine, and I saw him, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 times for 30 to 40 minutes at a time. He'd be on one hole and we'd be right over. Now, when I say, we're speaking of offshore stuff that, that we've searched around with these fancy electronics to find over the years. And so there are some fish now at Truman that are offshore, which we haven't seen till maybe last week or the week before, but it's now. I know that's how that bag was caught because I watched it happen.
So if guys are going to be moving offshore, what should they be looking for? If they're scouting around looking for areas, channel swings, getting out there on the bluff.
The lake is so big and so massive that you're going to find fish and doing all kinds of things. And this lake does have a bluff bite. Don't kid yourself. There will be somebody who finds some fish on bluffs or bluff ends. Keep in mind that the current has now been running for 6 weeks, 5 weeks straight.
It really is amazing how the water level has changed continuously. I've been out the last 3 weekends, and slowly, you can see where it's coming down.
Right. Well, and we've figured out that in certain spots in that lake, when they're pulling that hard, things go crazy. I don't know if you saw 2 videos ago where we just all of a sudden found ourselves at the dam based on my buddy's son taking his new bass boat out and trying to break it in, but he was so scared of running around at Truman that he just ran around at the dam, and then he started fishing at the dam and he caught himself a 6-pounder. And we were like, wow, we never fish over there. Let's go over there. And we made that video that morning in that thunderstorm going up and down the dam. And I'm telling you, you had to be on 5 or 6. If I was in a kayak, it might kind of, I don't know, might be worrisome. Buoy line, and it was actively turning a 20-foot bass boat.
Yeah, that's not really good for kayaks.
No, I was already like, hey, you fall in, and I'm pretty sure I'm jumping in to help you. Better get kayaking on. I ain't getting in that current, no way. But we whacked them in that current. So I'm thinking that's not going to be the case. But we have storms that are predicted for this week. So I don't know what's going to happen. And I'll tell you this, that can change on a dime at Truman. So, and even if it did rain a bunch, even though the lake might not shoot up, there might be a really good Ozark style inflow bite where we find bass in the current that's actually flowing into the lake. In the back of some creek, got some nice foamy water coming in that's full of oxygen, might even be a little cooler than the actual 85-degree lake temperature. And before you know it, you better have a spinnerbait or a chatterbait or something on, moving square bill through that foamy water, because if you do, especially kayak guys, get to see all that stuff. You're right there, real quiet. They'll come rushing in there, and we see them put the green-eared sunfish up on the bank or put the shad up on the bank. The big largemouths come running into that active water. It's a Table Rock thing. It's a Truman thing. It's a Lake of the Ozarks thing. And when it rains, and that is maybe going to be the case on Saturday, that's something the guys got to pay attention to. Is a runoff bite, what we call a runoff bite. So Truman, they can just show up in these little pockets that have water flowing in the back of them, and truly you might only be a couple hundred yards from the actual main channel. And those fish, when it's warm, we think they'll move farther, quicker than any other time of the year to come eat. You can just all of a sudden have them on you.
That's a fun bite too.
All right. It's a square bill thing there at Truman. I've even have a video, Last Chance, I believe is in the title of it, from 2019, where we're whining square bills and we see them coming down the bank, we see in the shad and everything jumping. We're like, oh gosh, get ready here, pick up your square bill. Here we go.
What colors would you recommend right now for guys if they're going to throw on a square bill or a spinner bait?
Kind of depends. I'm really color based on the clarity. If I'm down on the lower end of the lake, I'm going to throw something really natural because it's really quite clear. It's changed just in the last week. I'm gonna throw on my. If I was throwing a spinner bait, I'd be throwing something, that was really, really faint, like light pink and light silvers. I show them in my video all the time. I love to throw a War Eagle. Cotton candy silver is the color, and it's a table rock color, but we can use it on Ozarks and Truman when the water gets real clear. So that's what I'd throw down there. But then anytime I got a little stain, just a little up into the Osage or a little up into the Grand, the Tebow's running pretty clean, but I'd throw that Ozark Flash. That's a really go-getter. That's a chartreuse and white where the inside of the blade is not painted, the outside is. It's a really go-getter in these Ozark lakes. So like chartreuse and white or white on the blades. When you get in that color, if it's a square bill, then I'm going to throw a chartreuse black back, maybe a light faded chartreuse. If I had an older square bill that wasn't quite as bright, I might pick that one first. But a fairly big one, like a 2.5. Don't be afraid to throw a big square bill at Truman. Those once the water gets hot. And then also always main lake laydowns, anywhere where that water's dirty. And it thunders. It cracks one thunder of lightning on that lake, and you best be that next morning. You best be fishing laydowns. I don't know why, but it's the craziest thing. Where it's dirty, those fish will get up onto those laydowns in those storms. You would think they might pull off into deeper water, but where they're already committed to the 3 to 5, right at the base of the thermocline, like if you're in the middle or upper Grand, or if you're in the upper Osage, or maybe the upper Pomme de Terre where it gets real tannicky, those fish don't get real deep. They're going to be shallower.
Good stuff.
Good stuff. I'm telling you, better have that square bill ready, and especially if you see them schooling.
David, as far as you're talking baits, what are some staple baits for you for Truman?
Well, football jigs right now, obviously. Peanut butter and jelly. The green-eared sunfish is the dominant thing that we think our bass like to eat at Truman. We have tons of green-eared sunfish. They will pull the pinchers off your jig. There are some of them, the very end of them, on the bluff still right now. And so you can throw your finesse jig or your football jig or whatever up there with a little chartreuse on it, but you're not trying to be a crawdad. Let's be a green-eared sunfish for a little bit. So that's why we like that peanut butter and jelly color. Unless it's really dirty, and then if it's really filthy, then we're just going to go black and blue. But basically fishing it the same way in those areas, maybe focusing on a little shallower. But the peanut butter and jelly colored jig or something, and then we're going to throw like a green pumpkin or some natural color trailer and put a little chartreuse on it, because our green-eared sunfish, when they spawn, get a really, really chartreuse look to their tails. I know you guys see that in other lakes, but it's really dirty. It seems like they just glow. So then another staple would be red bug, blue fleck, plum. Those are some of our 3 favorite colored worms. Now, we like a 10-inch power worm, or we love this Magnum trick worm. Magnum trick worm on a stand-up head is something that's going on right now. I'll give you an example. We were in that tournament last weekend down on a main lake point, and they were pulling the lake, but the lake is very low. And when they pull the lake when it's low, it's incredible. You can actually feel it pull your bass boat. So I got to believe you guys can feel it. But my buddy threw out there and called our last spotted bass on that stand-up head. It was a plum-colored Magnum trick worm, and we were all excited. And I'd had my pole out, but when I saw it jump, I knew I'd set the pole down, and we netted the fish, and we called, and we decided it was time to go. And when I walked up to the front deck and I started to reach down for the pole scooted about 3 inches forward. And I was like, wow, look at that. And I picked it up, and it was a 476. It was our biggest fish. And Lord knows how long it had it. And had I not looked up there, I bet the next scoot had probably been off the front deck. Big fish like that pull it off. But so yeah, idling out buoys and culling, and we got to be there in 5 minutes. Come on, we got to go. You know. But so that was a football jig and a stand-up head. And if I wasn't fishing in a pile, because a stand-up head can really be bothersome, I would then also have a Texas rig, same setup. Whatever color was hot, I'd have another setup at Truman to be able to put around things that I know are snaggy. Keep in mind that at Truman, on the bottom of each one of these trees, we've had so much current that when we get to see it, when the water's super low, these trees have little cages on the bottom of them. You say, what? I'm telling you, the root ball is there, but the material that the roots were holding, the rocks and it's all gone because the current swept it out of there for years. So when you pitch that worm up to the base of that standing tree that might be in 12 foot of water, that might be right off your favorite point, some of them fish are not going to leave those points for weeks because they've been there for 6 weeks getting fat. They're going to be in that vicinity thinking they're going to turn the water back on. But so Texas rig, stand-up head, football jig, finesse jig. And then the guys have all kinds of moving stuff going if the day is right. So that's that moving stuff should get better as those fish all come off the bottom because there isn't current and they want to sit at the bottom of the thermocline. They are more likely to hit a moving bait because they start to suspend. And that's the one last thing I would tell you that is potentially going to happen. And when it happens and somebody figures that out, it will be game on. Because those big fish really like to do that. They like to pull out in those trees and lay up under those arms in 7, 8, 10 foot of water. And guys will actually just pitch their big plastic worm right up to the base of the tree out there in 25 foot of water and pull off 3 or 4 pulls and then engage the reel. That's how you suspend fish at Truman. Either that or you want a crankbait. And you want to hang that thing, whatever you decided to hang on that tree, once you've decided their depth. They'll sit, once they start to suspend, they'll sit under those thermoclines that are going to start happening as soon as they turn the current off. Because the water was 86 degrees, so, and it was clear. So we all think it could be this weekend if we don't get messed up by rain, that a guy could also do that. He could pull up to a timber row, deep timber row, and find fish that are actually sitting only 8 or 10 foot down in that nicer, cooler water and will respond to a piece of plastic hanging around the tree. Now, it is combat style fishing. You won't get every one of them in. And if you get on a cedar pattern, you're going to get your heart broken at least. Just, I mean,
heart line.
And it's over. So, they got old enough. They got cracks in them. When those trees are so old, they got cracks in them. So it's real easy for braid or even mono or fluorocarbon just to get a wedgie. And when you get a wedgie on a big fish, there's not much you can do.
It's hard to pick.
Retie and try to repeat, but get him off the tree. But you do have to lay it up against the tree to get the bite most of the time. And but the guys who figure that out, or we've even done it where we tie a pretty good build crankbait on heavy line and we crash the tree. And we try to crash that tree at 7 or 8 foot of water, like with an old Bagley's DB3. Wooden crankbait, pretty good bill. put it on 20-pound line and it won't go any deeper than 7 or 8 foot. We could still get it with our lure knocker. But we, wind it in real fast into that tree and let it build up. And when it shot off, when it sprung free, stop for just a millisecond and then start your retrieve again. And that's when that's usually, you'd stop it 2 or 3 times before you pick it up and do it again. And they'd murder it when they get it. Try to pull you in, pull into the leg.
So David, as far as those kayakers, we really have to pick our spots.
Right.
You being in a bass boat, you've got the luxury of running, but if you could pick maybe one arm of the lake or maybe half of arm of the lake, where would you go, man?
Well, I mean, if we were going tomorrow, I would be back down where all the tournaments release their fish.
That's always a good place to launch.
So, I mean, let's be realistic.
Where is that? Where are they releasing fish at?
Well, where the tournaments are. And right now, most of the tournaments are coming out of Shawnee Bend, which is the big ramp by the dam, or Sturret Creek, which is, heck, 1.5 miles from the dam, or they're coming from State Park, which is very popular, which may be 1 mile from the dam. And then, of course, there's Long Shoal. Long Shoal is a, big, has been a destination for tournaments for a long time. So that's where I'd go, and I'd try to outfish everybody else that's in a bass boat. But now your kayak guys get to go to places that I've never been. So, right off the bat, one of my most favorite places, and I'm not going to tell a lie, and there's going to be a couple of buddies that if they heard this, they would come up to me, man, they'd be mad. But, so the Pomme de Terre Lake dumps straight into Truman. And that's about a 40-mile arm, 30-mile arm, somewhere around there. I really don't pay much attention to the signs, but it scares me getting up there, but I've done it. I did it in the BFL unsuccessfully. But I love that Pommy arm way up there. When they're letting a little water go out of Pomme de Terre Lake, things set up like tournament winning style kind of stuff sets up when you have active current, and temperatures will be 7 to 10 degrees colder up there. You will also, though, have these tremendous hybrids to have to deal with, and I wish that on a kayaker, because we have split rings and hooks stolen off our plastic square bills. If you dare throw a wooden one up there, you best kiss it before you do it, because if one of those big men in the striped suits gets a hold of you, they get big now on that lake, like 20-pound big, and a 20-pound hybrid will fight like a saltwater fish. They'll just tear your stuff up, and I can't imagine wanting that in a kayak.
Yeah, we call that going for a sleigh ride. They just hang on.
You're wasting time in a tournament.
Yeah, right? For sure. Absolutely.
Advantage up there, but man, I love it up there because it's so narrow, and there's some accesses that we don't get to use as bass boaters because they're gravel, and you just don't. Big boats, big heavy boats, and gravel don't mix. It launches great. It's when it's time to go home. That's when the problems start. And you get that big heavy thing back up, that gravel out of the water is something else. So
we have no problem with gravel ramps or any place we can just dump into the water. We're good to go.
So there's all kinds of little spots around the 83 bridge, and then way up there, I don't even know. There's a metal bridge up there. I don't even know what it is, but there are always some very small metal boats and a parking lot up there. And that's a very unique spot. That's like so far away from that kind of reminds me of something like maybe what somebody would find up the Osage. I'm not as familiar with the Osage. The Osage is the biggest arm and probably offers the most space. But over the years, we've had such silting problems that when they go and survey a lot of those upper creeks, they come up with not a lot of results because they say that they're not repopulating because of the silt. So there's always, life's gonna happen. So, I'm not gonna say the name of the creek, but the creek that it was one in last year has a lot of rock in it. So I think that's the key to some of those upper creeks you could put in off the 13 highway bridge, and a very big boat ramp on the Osage River, just straight south of Clinton, Missouri, and be right in those creeks. But man, there's a lot of dead water up there. But if you find that special stretch, obviously you saw that's like a number. I'm like going, I told another couple bass boat buddies, and they said, "Are we fishing the wrong end of the lake?" I said, "No, I don't think we are. Those guys probably got in some place that we can't get in, and there haven't been any bass boats in there, and that's what he found." So that's the other favorite section, and I do love right above Bucksaw. But if it was, my chips were down for fishing for all the weight, and I was in a bass boat, not a kayak, because I'm not a kayak fisherman. I don't want to tell anybody I am. I do love to watch it, but I'm not one. So I don't know if I'd make the right decisions, because current and being out in that open is something I'm not sure a kayaker would feel comfortable doing. Because sometimes we're 100 yards offshore on these humps or rises. That's really, if you can find a rise out in the middle of nowhere where that lake comes up to 8 or 10 foot, and somebody's brushed, and then you put a little current on top of it, I think that's how the 20-pound sack was caught last weekend. But
man, good information.
Happened. I saw it happen, and I thought for sure I was going to do it. But, we even had shy of 15 pounds because we just can't seem to get them all in the boat. But it's going to be a tremendous video too. So because that happened, that I think I got that on my chesty where the fishing pole scooted, and everything else should be all on camera. That was just an incredible scene, because my buddy was high-fiving and thinking that he'd caught this great one, and I just grabbed it up and I said, "This one? Oh, one. See ya." And I had a 5-pounder to replace it, and he was like, "Wow, all that work and it's gone." I said, "Man, let's go."
Look forward to seeing that video.
Yeah, we will. Yeah, there's a competition in that bass boat between two guys that I do say you guys miss out on. Even though your buddies, your friends that are in the kayak thing, they can't. Can they see what's going on? Do they got like a score tracker?
Yeah.
Are they?
We have a live leaderboard on Tourney X where as soon as an angler uploads one of their photos of their fish, it immediately goes to a score tracker. So anybody can pull up their phone and see what everybody's doing. If you've got good cell service. If there's no cell service, then you don't know what everybody else has got until the end of the day.
Right. And are they allowed to talk and text and call and share information and all that?
Not really, no. I mean, they everybody can, communicate out on the water together. A lot of guys will launch together and then kind of fish near each other and talk and hang out together. There's nothing wrong with that.
Well, I'm going to tell you that sometimes that team style golf course hole kind of fishing can be quite effective, where you've narrowed it down and you and your buddies put together a course. It's here in this pocket, and it's this little 100-yard stretch in this pocket, and then you go here at 8, and I'm going to go there at 10:30, and they hole shift. And I don't know if that's legal. And
I think we do a little bit. I think kayak guys do a little bit of that too. Groups go in 2 or 3, 4 guys, and they come up with a plan when they launch.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It's not uncommon for us bass boat guys to share information a lot of times, especially.
I think we probably do it a lot more than what boat guys realize. In fact, kayak anglers pretty much share a lot of stuff. There's not much tight lips. We're not saying nothing about how we did in competition. Right. Guys are jacking them in practice. They're going to let you know about it.
I love it.
For the most part, there's still some guys that'll even sandbag. They won't even submit photos till the end of the day. They don't want anybody knowing what they're catching. But for the most part, the kayak community as a whole really does just share information about everything.
Well, I obviously, if I didn't think I liked the kayaks, I wouldn't be here, but I do. And hopefully I can attract a few subscribers. But
yeah, well, I think a few guys are going to be checking out your videos after this. I mean, you've given us some great information. The guys are, I know everybody's got their pen and paper out. They're taking notes right now from everything you've been saying. So thank you.
I hope that one of those patterns shows up for somebody, because that suspend bite, when it's on, and not many guys know how to do it right. It's how that big Milliken tournament was won by my good buddy, Big Fish Joe Dorsey, who you see in those videos. He won that deal, fishing in dirty water where we wouldn't have thought they would have been suspending, and they were. And I don't know, he busted like 22 pounds and embarrassed us all, and took the 10 grand home. And he did it suspended. And that was in like September. So it really gets going at the latter part of the summer. But we've been hot. That water is hot. So somebody's going to do it. They might check that suspend bite a couple times during the day, especially where it's really clear and the trees are big. Channel tree.
All right. Jonathan, you got anything left before we wrap this up?
No, man, David, thank you so much for coming on here. And I watch Fish 30, and it's fun seeing you catch them on there, and fun to have you on here. And appreciate all you're doing, not only for yourself but for the sport in general. I think we've seen a huge growth last year with the pandemic and people not having stuff to do except fishing. But thank you for your time and coming on here, and seriously, man, we appreciate it. If you see us, some of us kayakers out this weekend, man, don't be shy, man. Say hi. Right. We love to talk.
I'm actually thinking I'm going to fish somewhere else on Saturday, because I've already decided where I'm fishing for Sunday. But Pomme de Terre has an incredible offshore bite going on right now. And I'm telling you, I got another buddy, and we're addicted to that kind of stuff. So that's where we're going to be on Saturday. I didn't want to run over. There's a lot of you out there, and but I do eventually. I am going to buy me a kayak, and I might have.
You need to get into it. I mean, we can run 3 horsepower motors on those suckers. I mean, Lance Burrows, he's running an 1103 Torpedo. He can run 6-7 miles an hour in his kayak.
Right now, well, that gives you distance, or that gets you somewhere where somebody. It isn't any different than a bass boat with a big gas tank. I mean, it's
we just got battery power. We just got to keep our battery charged. And seriously, a lot of guys will run 10 miles in a tournament, in their kayak. I mean, I do myself easily.
Well, I think otherwise you have to outfish the guys that you're fishing against on that lower end. That's the real issue. And I don't know if a kayak guy will be successful offshore down there or not. That's for you guys to figure out. But I know that's how I'm going to fish on Sunday.
Well, maybe sometime we can get you in a kayak, and then you can see it for yourself, and then you might want to sell your boat after that. It's a lot cheaper.
Well, yeah, and it's much better for them.
No, you just need one of each. Actually, you got to have the best of both worlds.
And it's better for the environment. There's no doubt. You guys kayakers are way better on the planet than us gas guzzling bass. I'll acknowledge that. Well, guys, have a good time on Truman and be safe. Obviously,
thank you.
No swimming. There's giant snappers in that deck. I don't know. People even swim in that place. But enjoy it and be safe, and subscribe to Fish 30.
There you go. Thanks, Dave. We'll talk to you soon. Appreciate everything.
Good luck.
Bye.
Thanks, man.
That was some good stuff.
Josh, I mean, I think he gave us a lot to go off. Gave the guys a lot to think about. Gave us multiple patterns. Maybe not a specific area or anything like that, but for a guy to be fishing Truman for as long as he has, I think there's a wealth of knowledge there.
Yeah, if you're paying attention and taking notes, he spilled the beans on quite a few different details that if I was fishing this tournament, I would definitely be checking out during practice for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think he's hit it on the head. There's quite a few patterns there, and it's just gonna matter which guy lines up with the right one at the right time and slays them.
Yep, it's going to be interesting to see who comes out on top at this tournament, and we're going to be meeting up at Everhart's afterwards, and we'll figure out who the champion is there.
So, Josh, what do you think it's going to take to win? Do you think it's going to take another 100 inches?
Boy, it just might. I think it will, yeah. I mean, definitely going to be over 90. It's, from what it sounds like, the bites, we're going to be hitting it pretty good. Weather might even cooperate a little bit, too, if it doesn't storm too bad.
That's exactly what I'm thinking as well. With that storm coming in, with
front
it being
should
hot,
help.
Absolutely. With that water being as hot as it was, and then it cooling down a little bit, and then raining, I think it's going to make for some good fishing.
I do too. Should be a good time.
Well, guys, remember that we meet up at Everhart's. Huge sponsor of us, huge supporter. Show some love to them. If nothing else, tell those guys thank you. We can't talk about Everhart's enough. They do so much for us, and definitely looking forward to meet up there. They host a great spot. I don't know if it's going to be big enough if we have another 100 anglers or not, but we're going to pack the parking lot. That's for sure.
Yeah, we'll have the parking lot packed, the road down this way side. We'll have everywhere packed with cars, but we're going to have some big tents set up out in the grass, and we'll have an area out there for everybody. So we should. Parking might be a little, let's say, crowded for the city of Clinton, but we'll be all right. Some of the locals might not be too happy.
Yeah, I don't think it can be worse than All-American, but I think we'll pack the parking lot. That's for sure.
Yeah, those guys coming in to get some minnows at Everhart's are going to be angry. They got nowhere to park.
Yeah, they're going to have to walk a half mile to get a bucket of minnows filled.
All right, man.
Well, man, I look forward to this weekend. Look forward to seeing you, seeing all our guys. It's been too long, it feels like.
Yep, we were wham bam all really fast at first, and we had a little month gap here, so it's time to get back to fishing for MoYak to get back on the water. Truman Lake, Clinton, Missouri.
Well, sweet, man. I'll see you this weekend.
Yep, we'll see you there.